Hello, I'm Matt Galloway, and this is the Current Podcast. You want to talk about celebrations? This is an Olympic moment that many Canadians still remember.
McNeil right in the hunt. Maggie Mac Neil certainly is in the hunt with 15 meters to go. She might have a slight edge. She's certainly got a chance at a medal. Here they come. There's the touch. He gets gold. Gold for Canada. Maggie Mac Neil in 55:59. And she can't see it. Now she can. And they are whooping it up in Woodstock for that Canadian record and gold medal.
As Maggie Mac Neil winning the 100-meter butterfly gold medal at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021, the following year she went on to win 5 medals at the World Swimming Championship and broke 2 world records. In the lead up to the Olympics next month, we are speaking with a number of Canadian athletes about their sport and their goals for Paris 2024. And Maggie Mac Neil joins us now from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Maggie, good morning.
Good morning.
There are so many people who remember that moment that we just played from the Tokyo Games. You finish the race, you look up at the scoreboard, you're squinting, you're not really sure of the result, and then you see your time. What went through your mind in that moment?
I think just utter disbelief, honestly. And it's kind of funny just listening to it played back because I don't know, I feel like we just had an Olympics and that moment was yesterday, but I also feel like it was like 100 years ago at the same time.
Disbelief. I mean, you must have known how fast you were.
I couldn't really see anything. I mean, not from my lack of eyesight, but just because I was out in an outside lane. So I wasn't really sure kind of where I was in the race relative to everyone else. But when I touched the wall, I just kind of heard my name on the loudspeaker and I was like, okay, I must have done something.
You did something. When did you get into swimming? And I mean, like, what was it that got you into the pool in the first place?
Originally, it was a safety precaution. My mom's the physician and was kind of paranoid that my sister and I might accidentally wander to the outside and drown in our family pool that we had just moved into. So she made sure that we learned to be safe around water from the very beginning. And I think just my competitive personality and my love for the water kind of formulated into what I've done so far.
When did you realize that you were good?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I think the first time where I was like, okay, this might actually go somewhere was probably when I made my first junior team at 15.
What surprised you about that?
When I originally started, like every young kid, everyone's like, oh, I want to go to the Olympics when I get older. And I mean, I was one of those kids too, but I didn't really kind of know what that meant or the amount of work and effort that it would take to get there. So I think by the time I was 15, I'd put in, as Malcolm Gladwell says, halfway to the 10,000 hours. Mm-hmm. So I think I had more of an idea of what it would take to accomplish that goal. And then that kind of solidified more, I think, in 2019 after I won my first world title.
What were the goals that you had when you realized that this could be something competitive that you would be involved in?
Honestly, I think I was like, I want to go to the Olympics. I don't think I ever kind of associated myself winning a medal or winning a gold medal, but just kind of enjoying the ride and the process and my original love for the water and why I kind of got started in the sport in the first place. Tell
me about what happened in 2023, because after you won 3 Olympic medals, you took a break in 2022. You sat out individual events at the World Championships in 2023 to focus on yourself and on mental health. Tell me about that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think that storyline was a little bit misconstrued, I think, when it came out. And it was more of the physical break that I needed, obviously, because I had broken my elbow in March. But like a lot of the followers of swimming don't realize that due to COVID, instead of kind of getting back on the normal schedule that we normally would have had with World Championships in the odd years, and then the even years would have Commonwealth Games, Pan Am Games, Pan Pacs, World Aquatics actually ended up inserting 2 more long course worlds and a short course worlds into an already shortened quad of 3 years. So there actually wasn't supposed to be a World Championships in 2022. So I kind of was just going about my normal schedule and was looking forward to just competing at the Commonwealth Games. But when they added in that additional worlds, I was like, I wasn't really planning on ever swimming individual events. But knowing that I was an asset for relays and we wanted to do well, and I went for that part, which was definitely the best decision for me.
But you've talked about how those goals that you set out, you accomplished. And when you got to that place, you had to reassess kind of what you were doing and why you were doing it. Can you tell me a bit about that and what it's like when you accomplish everything that you put up on the board?
Yeah. I mean, when you're a kid in sports, there's always kind of a carrot dangling that you're trying to reach. And after Tokyo, having gotten that carrot, I was like, well, what's now? And then the last thing I was like, I have to accomplish in swimming is a world record. And I got that in December of that year. So I think it took me a couple of months, and obviously my training situation wasn't great in my senior year at Michigan when my coach left. So that also kind of contributed to a lot of the decisions that I made in the summer of 2022, and decisions, I mean, also including following my coach down here to LSU and kind of getting back into that relationship with him. And yeah, I think it was the best decision that I could have made at the time. And I'm excited to kind of see what we're going to do this summer.
What changed for you after you won the Olympics?
I was recognized more, and I think that's about it. I mean, I went back to school pretty immediately after I got home, so it was nice to kind of get back into normalcy and just be able to focus on training.
Is that strange? I mean, because there have been athletes who have achieved extraordinary things. Simone Biles, Penny Alexiak, others who have talked about what it's like when you go from one place in your life to suddenly everybody knowing who you are, and people recognize you for what you do, but they also think that they know who you are. What is that like?
Definitely different. And I think for me, I kind of had a sneak peek into it, obviously in 2019 when I won at Worlds, and I was more known to the swimming community by that point, but it was definitely odd kind of having the added layer of most people in Canada knowing who I was. So that was definitely something to get used to. But I think having that experience from 2019 definitely helped me come to terms with it in 2021.
Do you think we're thinking differently as a culture about the impact that success has on the mental health of athletes? Because again, from a distance, people want you to win, but there's a cost to that as well. And it comes with something as well.
Well, John Atkinson, Swimming Canada's big thing is everyone's on their own path. And I think that's great that that's kind of the motto now, as opposed to back in the day, I think, when it was more kind of one mold and everyone has to kind of conform to it. But now that everyone's doing their own thing, I mean, obviously I'm at school in the States, and so are many of the other athletes. And I mean, we have people training all over the world to be at our best in Paris.
Having had success, do you come in with a bit of a target on your back from other athletes, from other swimmers who see you and think, I'm going to get her?
Yes and no. I'm trying not to think of it like that. I think it also helps that I didn't win in 2023. So I'm still kind of the underdog. I mean, obviously I did win in 2021. I've been on the scene for a while. I mean, not as long as obviously like Penny or Kai, but that I've kind of done it all, and I don't need to prove anything to anyone or myself, but just kind of doing it for the fun of it and to have the whole Olympic experience, and not trying to put too much pressure on like the outcome, medal or not.
Does it feel like that to you, that you don't have any pressure on yourself, that you can do this, as you said, for the fun of it?
I mean, it's something that I'm still kind of working on, and I think a lot of athletes do, especially when you've achieved what I have and in the amount of time that I have. But yeah, like I said, I think I've done everything pretty much in swimming there is to accomplish. So just enjoying it and knowing that anything that happens at the games will just be a bonus.
This is a strange thing to ask, but I mean, you have asthma, and I'd read that chlorine contributes to your asthma. Is that right?
Yes.
How does that impact your training? I mean, you spend all this time in the water where there's a lot of chlorine. How does that impact your training?
It's definitely hard. And right now here at LSU, we're, I think, the only building in Southern Louisiana without air conditioning. So it's more the humidity and the heat, I think, that gets me right now. It definitely impacts me sometimes, but I try not to let it hinder me too much.
I mean, in Paris, they're saying that the Athletes' Village isn't going to have air conditioning either.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the COC has kind of come out and said that they're going to get some like air conditioning units for the building and for the athlete rooms to make sure that we're being able to perform optimally. And being down here, being exposed to this heat and humidity is just helping me kind of prepare for that.
You graduated, 3 weeks ago from LSU?
A month or so, maybe?
A month or so? It's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does that feel? You have a master's degree in sports management.
Yeah, I mean, for me growing up, my parents are both very academic, so school always came first, and that was kind of the only time they ever got involved and were like, well, you can't go to practice if you don't have an assignment in, or if I wasn't doing well in school. So I knew that in order to be the best that I could be in the pool, I had to be succeeding in the classroom, and that's something I'm really proud of, being able to manage both. and do it for such a long time. I mean, it's been 16 years straight of me being a student athlete. So it's nice that kind of the last few months leading into Paris, I can just focus on swimming, but it was definitely a nice distraction and something to do on the side during the entire year.
You said that you would go crazy if you just focused on swimming. I mean, don't you just have to focus on swimming to be as good as you are?
Yes and no. I'm always 100% focused when I'm at the pool, and sometimes I think about it too much when I'm away from the pool, and I think that's something I've worked on a lot, and I'm getting better at that now. So it was always nice kind of coming home and I have this reading to do. I have to write a 20-page paper. Like, I had something else to do other than to come home and sit down and think more about practice and kind of analyze it that way. But yes, I mean, obviously you want to be focused and be thinking about swimming, but definitely not all the time.
You posted a graduation day picture, and the caption was number of degrees attained 2, number of graduations attended 0. What have you sacrificed because of your swimming career to be as good as you are?
So much. And I think, I mean, honestly, if I could go back and relive like growing up as a swimmer, I don't think I would make any changes, but just knowing what I know now, like, it's okay to miss a practice to go to a sleepover or go to a birthday party. I mean, I missed my cousin's wedding because I was at a training camp in Thailand for 3 weeks, because at that point it was, you come to all of it or you don't go to any of it. And obviously my family's been very understanding and super supportive of my career, and all 13 of them are coming to Paris. So it's nice to kind of show them that the sacrifices led to something. So, I mean, I have sacrificed a lot, but I don't think I would change anything.
Is that why you've said that you would be happy if you retired now? Because of not just what you've sacrificed, but what you've achieved, and trying to figure out what that balance could look like for the rest of your life?
Yeah, and I think I've always been grateful, and I'm glad to know that I do have like the schooling behind me to go and do something after swimming. And obviously I do want to go to law school at some point. I didn't think I'd get this far in swimming. Like, I thought, oh yeah, it'd be cool to go to the Olympics, but I think that was about all I'd thought. So to have accomplished everything I have is just, it's amazing.
So is this the final games for you?
This will be my final games, yeah, definitely. But I definitely won't be done swimming after Paris.
So what will you do then?
Taking a little break and doing some traveling after Paris, and then getting back in for the short course season, which is super fun and less pressure for sure.
I mean, this is going to be the first Olympics post-pandemic as well. Competition is one thing, but the Olympics are it's a whole production outside of that. What are you excited about when it comes to the experience of being there outside of that contained experience of the last time?
Yeah, I think because it was my first games last time, I think that was probably advantageous for me. I mean, I did hear a couple teammates throughout say, oh, like, I wish we could have done this, or too bad we can't go to other events, or there's no McDonald's in the dining hall, like certain things like that I was like, well, this is all I've known. So I think it kind of helped me stay more in the moment and not be like, oh, well, this is what's supposed to happen at Olympics. So I'm definitely excited for more of that kind of experience, and to be able to go to closing ceremonies and things like that, because I definitely didn't have that last time, but I think it helped not knowing what I was missing out on.
I'm excited to see what you do. I think it's going to be, you're going to have a great games. But I love also just how you think of success, that you've achieved things, and what happens now is what happens now. You have a really great idea of who you are and where you are in the sport. Congratulations on everything, and we'll be watching.
Thank you.
Maggie Mac Neil will be competing for Canada in the Paris Olympics in the 100-meter freestyle and the 100-meter butterfly.